$5,000 hangs in the balance today, and we've got 8 wonderful Floridan collegiate teams all battling it out to get their piece of the pie. Welcome everyone to the Florida Mayhem 2020 Collegiate Rumble. I'm Paul. Joining me is the Mayhem man himself, Thibbledork. I almost called you Florida Mayhem. I don't know why.
You know,
I just
all
think
the
of you and Florida Mayhem as one entity because you're their
everything
social
starts
manager.
to blend together after a bit. I feel myself gradually becoming one with the swamp. I believe they say it's a terrifying process, but here we are.
Thibble. We're one with the swamp here today as we got so much collegiate Florida goodness to get going. Let's check out our match here on the Esports stream. Reminder, guys, I hope you have 2 monitors because there's 2 streams. One here at ELO, which you're currently watching, and one over on the Florida Mayhem channel. So have them both up. If you got to bring up your phone, whatever you need to do, but have them both. All right, but our 2 teams. First off, Thibble, let's talk about the University of Central Florida. We've got Sir Dr. Titan, Storm, Dean, Finite, I'm going to mess saying this one up, Alvarocious, I hope I said it right.
That's actually correct. Yeah, you got it.
Pandemonium coming in for this team.
Yeah, I mean, so this team in general, like, we're not at predictions yet, but if I had to immediately just pick at face value someone who is going to go real far, it's looking like this team. A good portion of them actually competed in North American Open Division for Team Spirit, where they placed in the top 16, which is pretty freaking good for a Tier 3 team playing here at home in Florida. So in an area where perhaps there aren't like maybe future Owl stars immediately present, it looks like these guys have a bit of an edge. That said, I'm fully expecting a bunch of surprises today. So this looks like a good roster, but I don't want to count anybody out yet because anything could happen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the last player's name says it itself. Pandemonium always ensues when we hit up Collegiate Overwatch, and I love every second of it. Let's talk about their opponent. We got a bit of a battle of location going on as we've got the University of South Florida going to be the first ones to meet them in this single elimination bracket.
Yeah, so USF, again, looking like a very interesting team, a decent depth of roster. They have 2 subs in addition to their starting 6, one of whom has the most interesting name in the tournament, Suburban Dad. I always root for Suburban Dads. I'm very excited to see what he can do. In general, I mean, these guys they look like sharp kids, you know, like a lot of them are engineering majors, IT majors. Oh, yeah. You have a double major in pre-marketing and entrepreneurship from Jules 12,000, which is also a fantastic name. So in general, like, I'm expecting good things from them, at least because I know they're intelligent enough to be engineering majors. So they can either figure things out really well or just fake it till they make it, because that's how engineering majors work.
I was about to say, I've known more than a few engineering majors in my time. My old roommate was an engineering major, and fake it till you make it is still a very respectable way to get through. You give it the old college try, and
that's right.
That works out at this level. Let's keep in mind the format for our games today. I already said single elimination, but it's also going to be best of 3 until we get to the grand finals. So what that means is we're going to play 3 maps, right? First will be Control, of which our higher seed in this match, Central Florida, will be picking. Then we're going to go to Escort, where the loser of the first map will pick it. And then if necessary, we go to our 3rd map, if someone hasn't already claimed 2, which will be Hybrid, and the loser will pick that. And then if somehow we're all tied up after 3 matches, we finally go to another Control map, and that will be the end of the series, assuredly.
Yeah, I think mathematically we can't go any farther than that, though I'm sure these teams will do their best to create some Boston versus Houston type scenarios.
Oh, no.
But also, I want to get out of here at some point. I don't want this shiny new beard to turn gray. So I think most of these will stick to at most 3. But hey, a draw or 2 can always happen. So I suppose we'll see.
I'm hoping we get as much Overwatch as possible here at Thibble. We are in game now between these 2 teams. We're starting off on Oasis. It's going to be Gardens first and foremost. I'm stoked to see what we have rolling out here. Keep in mind, there's no hero pool for this tournament, so we could be seeing pretty much anything on the board.
Yeah, and at this level, I think you're really going to see some interesting, like, different picks than usual. As I said, Jules 12,000 going a little silly with it. We're seeing some Junkrat here. We have May. We have Echo on the other side from Titan. I mean, this is looking to be an interesting fight already.
Man, the J Silly. It's been a while since I've seen one of those hit the field. Good rotation from South Florida, though, they're able to get onto the objective without too much issue, and now they've taken a point. Although Reindeer are going to be eliminated early. Good job there from Sir Titan to get that first kill onto the main. Now you can kind of dive in with impunity, and with the Junkrat going down too, there's no damage being pumped out from South Florida. They're just going to get whittled away by Central, who gained the first point.
Fun fact for you, I was putting out some promotional graphics yesterday from the Mayhem Twitter, and I accidentally listed Alvarocious as a flex DPS instead of his actual role of flex support. He pointed it out, and I apologized. He said, dude, don't worry. I'm going to get gold damage as Brig anyways. So he has some confidence, and getting that whip shot to like kind of start the cleanup phase of that last fight, I'm not inclined to disbelieve him at this point, because Brig can do a lot of work.
So much work. Already has the duplicate available, and with Jules getting bopped outside of spawn, South Florida, they're riding a bit of the struggle bus right now. Sir Titan is chewing them to bits, and we've already got nearly 40% for Central.
I feel like we hopefully we'll see some adjustments coming, maybe once they've finished their first round of ults here, because they have a couple coming online. But I would like to see some hits game coming out to maybe address Titan on the Echo, because like you said, he's getting tons of work done, and these guys are pushed up so far. They're very confident.
It is worth noting that both of South Florida's DPS are flex DPS, so they're not hit scan specialists. You can kind of see that coming to bite them. The duplicate onto the Junkrat. Titan, what are you doing, man? The tire doesn't find much of anything, but it's flashy nonetheless.
Yeah, Sasuke backing up. I think he understands, like, all right, they're touching spawn door. We need to just kind of take it easy here. Let's regroup. Let's talk it out. So they're pushing forward cautiously. The Roadhog coming out, I really like. I think that's a chance to really like, oh, you're going to push up to spawn? We're going to punish you just like that.
Yeah, beautiful hook there to secure that first elimination for Central Florida in this fight. Or for South Florida, rather. Actually going to be losing one of their members. We got a disconnect there. We'll get a pause to go that. Oh, man, the anticipation, that self-destruct going forward. It looked like it might have been pretty nasty there, Thibble.
Yeah, I mean, there's not obviously the main tank disconnecting means that there's no shield right now for USF. So it's going to be a matter of can they duck into cover here on this left side, the little cubby heading into the hookah lounge on their side. It looks like a couple of them might get caught out, but of course we'll see what happens when it unpauses. Keep in mind as well.
That's generally how things work.
Sure, right? Also keep in mind that USF right now have 3 people anti-nated. So even if this bomb doesn't get anything, it looks like UCF are in a pretty good position to walk forward with their rally and just start wailing. So I think with the disconnect, with the anti-nade, and with the position they're forced into, this is going to be another fight where you just kind of have to back out, try and get one more recontest with some quick heroes, because we're at 89% already on this first round.
Well, and there are tools available for South Florida, right? They've worked up to some of those key support ultimates at the very least. The Rally, the Coalescence. If they can weather the storm of this self-destruct, they could come back in with renewed vigor. But first things first, you got to actually get to the objective. And when we're sitting at 90%, you're expecting them to be zoned out a bit by that self-destruct. Certainly not looking good in this first round of Oasis.
No, but like you said, USF also have some ultimates online with a couple more really close behind as we get back into game here.
Yeah, we're getting right back into it. Self-destruct! Lands onto 3. That's just nasty. Taking full advantage of that one. South Florida, they're pretty much routed now. I'd be surprised if anybody even gets to the objective of trigger overtime. One will, but Moira is immediately dispatched, and round 1's going to go over to Central.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate with the DC, obviously. You hate to see stuff like that, because there could have been one fight with a decent ult advantage coming onto point, and they could have totally flipped it, but now it looks like UCF have this round. I think if you're South Florida here, you go again, just regroup, talk it out, like, don't get too tilted yet, it's just the first round. But yeah, that's that in the industry, we call those big unlucky.
Big unlucky, massive unlucky even. Well, you get to go again at the very least for South Florida on this map nonetheless. So you had a DC, wipe the brow, sweat, no sweat. We come back into this. We're on city center now, and I think out of the 2 rounds, considering South Florida have been preferring to run the Reinhardt, I think this is more so a rough one for them to be headed to.
I mean, you say that, but I like the adjustments coming out from USF here. Reindeer on the McCree to address Titan's Echo, and then Jules swapping onto Pharah, which is one of her favorite heroes, actually. Starshine as well is most noted on their team sheet as far as I read for her Mercy. So I think that's going to be a really strong duo for them, and probably their bread and butter, as Butter Beans takes the Reinhardt again. But UCF are going on to this like Doomfist Tracer dive comp, and that could really wreak some havoc.
Very high tempo, and they're playing to match it, already diving in onto the lines of South Florida rather. Jules is keeping them at bay though. They're able to deal some damage here. Nice shots there onto Alvarocious, but somebody's got to connect onto that, and the whip shot throws Butterbeans off to the side. One down onto Sir Titan, so it's not done yet for South Florida, and Jules is pretty much uncontested in the air right now, pumping out damage, already up 60% of the way to that barrage, make it 70. South Florida not giving up yet, but it's really just Jules, the one-person army. Finds Pandemonium too. There's only tanks available for Central Florida now, and it's looking good for South to get this first point.
Yeah, Jules doing major work here, supported with the damage boost from Starshine as well. They tried to rotate onto the high ground to start, which was risky given the whip shots that Alvarocious has been hitting, but so far it's working out.
Ooh, nice slap there. Titan finding Reindeer immediately, now trying to connect onto the healer. Forces the fade from Sasuke. So now that Moira is much more vulnerable, and they're going to take advantage. Central Florida, their teamwork is flawless right now. Sir Titan's giving them the runaround, dip diving, juking them all out, and it's still percentage ticking up here for Central. South Florida yet to make a real dent.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting picks, but it's not enough, and Dean coming in with the nano boost is going to keep pushing them back.
Yeah, he just reaps through their lines right now. Now he's got the primal, slapping him into the corner. Reindeer doesn't have a chance to get away. Oh, a nice hook there, actually, coming out from Bogus. Dean will actually trade there, so not the most valuable engage from Central Florida, considering their investment, but the rest of Central is able to capitalize nonetheless.
Bogus has actually been pretty useful on this Roadhog. I mean, he's not a very standard pick and perhaps a higher level of play that we normally watch, but he is keeping UCF kind of on their toes. They have to give him respect. Him and Jules both. You have to understand that the amount of damage they put out can stop this in-your-face sort of playstyle that UCF are trying to go for.
Ooh, Barrage kind of whiffs there, and the self-destruct will punish Jules for that one. It was a chance for South Florida, but now we're ticking up towards that 99, 100% gonna come through. Central Florida, they take a dominant map #1, despite some glimmers of hope from South Florida.
Sure, and I don't think this was a total wash for South Florida by any means. I think there were some great moments there where they showed like there are heroes that we're good at, that we're comfortable with, that we practice with, but at the same time, the adjustments coming in from UCF on that second stage of the map like really just shut that down. You can't take value out of a Pharah or a Roadhog when you have a Doomfist and a McCree rushing forward with these dive tanks that are nano boosted every other fight and stuff like that. I think UCF looked really polished there. Their communication was obviously really good, but I don't think this is over by any stretch. I think USF can definitely kind of talk things out between maps here and maybe try and clap back on map 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not over, literally speaking. We're going to have at least one more map. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, it's a continuation of University of Central Florida versus University of South Florida.
Speed Freaks game. Speed Freaks have 500 meg internet for just $39.99 a month plus taxes and fees. Let us guide the Speed Freak in you.
UCF had kind of a dominant performance on map number 1, but USF had glimmers of hope, and they're going to try and bring it back as we head into round number 2 on Dorado. Welcome everybody. I can't speak today, Thibble. I'm already flabbergasted. This is just too much fun to watch this Overwatch, but it's possible in the fawn back with more Mayhem Collegiate Rumble. I'm excited to see how Dorado shapes up.
Hey, it's not like English is our first language or anything, dude. Don't sweat it. Dorado's looking interesting. I'm very curious to see what compositions both of these teams come out with, because it's clear that they are willing to adapt. We had a more rush style comp on the first round from UCF, and they swapped to a Tracer Doomfist dive. And then we had a swap on City Center from USF to a Farah Mercy sort of style, which we could see again here on Dorado. It's a classic comp for the map. But at the same time, this map also allows sightlines for snipers, some anti-dive, some Orisa Sigma setups as well, just depending on if you're attacking or defending. It's a very versatile map. And the state of balance we're in right now means that you can get many different compositions depending on the map you're on and the side you're on. So we'll have to see what they set up with as we get into the setup phase here on Dorado. But in general, I just hope that USF took a second to be like, okay, we had an unlucky disconnect. You know, we had that one fight with ult advantage that we could have brought it back on Gardens, and then it was pretty close on City Center. We just couldn't really make it past the point, and we had an unlucky fat finger on the barrage in front of a Diva Bomb, which I've been there. I think we've all been there. He couldn't
quite tank the Diva Bomb. He tried really hard.
I think he went for an E and pressed Q.
You know, I've done that. I want to give. Hopefully, you know, there's no misclicks like that. But maybe if you shoot enough missiles at the Diva Bomb while it's self-destructing, it'll explode beforehand and not actually like kill you. But
that would be really interesting.
It's not a mechanic that's implemented as of yet, and I'm not sure it ever will be. Now we're actually headed into the game. Both teams coming on out. University of South Florida has switched it up quite a bit. Focus diving in. All alone, not ideal there as he gets chunked out by Central Florida. Once again, it's going to be the Echo. This time around, Storm actually running it, not Titan. We saw him dominate map 1 with it. Focusing Beam coming out, and it's going to claim Jules' life. So already off to a good start for the defense.
I think Bogus thought he had a little more space and a little more time to kind of hang out on that high ground, and then realized there were 2 people there with Storm on the Echo just flying in to kind of clean things up, and he didn't have time to jump back down, which happens. Now, though, he's switching to the Sigma. They're playing a little more cautiously. I think this double shield will give them the space and the time they need for Jules and Reindeer to start kind of clapping back against this dive style. That said, there's no hit scan, again, to counter Storm on this Echo.
Right now, so many resources going on to Dean as he dives in, right? Those armor packs are hitting him every single time. He's getting pocketed by the Ana. There's so much pressure onto this Winston when he moves forward, but even with everything South Florida have in the tank, they're not able to actually get that elimination yet. And thus this payload is stuck at this corner now. South Florida pressuring forward, trying to go around. Dean's got this nano boost on him though, and he just cleaves through South Florida. They're gonna get sent back to spawn. Luckily, it's a pretty short trip.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty nasty. Just nano cleaving through everybody. I mean, what are you going to do? Reindeer swapped to the McCree to try and counteract the long-range damage that Storm and Titan are putting up. Now swapping to the Widow, which could be really interesting if he can hit a shot or two. But swapping off of the Reaper means that Dean had very little in his way in terms of dropping down and just mowing through everybody. Now he's going to try and put pressure on the Widow as well. He has no fear.
That's so mean. The disrespect from Dean right now. He's just sitting behind him with the monkey bubble, keeping them all alive. It's going to be Storm actually duplicating the Reinhardt, so even though their main tank's not on the point, they got another main tank regardless. Storm maybe going to struggle. Nope, he gets the Air Shatter, and he gets the stun to go with it. Just the solo shatter onto Starshine. Why not? Show him what's what. Central Florida holding strong thus far. Have barely taken a scratch.
Yeah, I mean, UCF showing their chops here. You know, these guys, a good portion of them were Open Division playoff contenders. So they are showing the skill gap here. Dean showing just complete disrespect. He does not care one bit, but he's getting the support to back it up now with the Primal.
He even missed that jump out, and he says, you know what? I might as well go back in. Primal Rage is out. He doesn't quite find the value he was necessarily looking for. The Riptire does get taken out, though. Finite doing a good job of eliminating what could have been a critical turning point, ultimate-wise, for South Florida. Jules trying to pressure onto the high ground, but there's just no dice right now. South Florida, they're not able to pin anyone down with their close brawl composition. It's giving them a hard time. Now the May will freeze up Dina. They do get that first elimination onto Sir Titan. So with the respawn advantage, they could start to slowly push forward, whittle away at Central Florida. You need to get rid of Dean, though. He's just uncontested, diving in and out with impunity.
And it's such a difficult quandary to face, right? Do you deal with Dean, who is just jumping in your face all the time? Do you deal with Titan, just mowing down long-range damage as Soldier? Do you deal with Storm or Alvarocious, who are providing support for the tanks? Like, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't here, right? And now Storm is just mowing through him again.
Yep, and South Florida, you know, kudos to them. They actually managed to get the Blizzard out and get that payload much further than they had previously, thanks to the zoning ability of that ultimate. But now we're down to 4 seconds. It's not looking good for anyone to contest. Somebody's actually on the cart right now, so overtime will get triggered, and South Florida have to play aggressive. Primal from Dean, gonna try and stop them, and meanwhile Storm has the May. You can only assume that he's locking down that objective, self-destruct. Not going to deny the contest. The fade will come in from Sasuke, so he's able to at least extend the overtime.
Ooh.
But only an extension, even with that nice Earth Shatter from Butterbeans. The Wick is gonna burn away, and Central Florida get their full hold.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find a bright spot there until like those last couple fights for USF, where they started building up some ultimates. The Blizzard gave them a little bit of extra space to make it up to that first choke point. And then, I mean, Sasuke, I think, was doing a lot of great work. Obviously, strong heals from the Moira that can consistently provide for your front line. Until Butterbeans' shield went down because there was so much pressure from Titan, and then they would get anti-nated. The Coalescence gave them enough work to get around that corner to enable the Blizzard in the first place, but once you're out of Coalescence, UCF knows when it's time to move in, and move in they did. So now we have 45.41 meters of progress for USF, which means you only need 0.42 meters for UCF to finish out this series.
A titanic full hold is what's necessary now for South Florida.
This.
And they're coming out with all the guns they possibly can. This feels like an old school strat. Oh, we need to full hold? All right. What holds down the objective most efficiently? Oh, you know, May, Orisa, Bastion. I'm loving this composition from South Florida.
This is every ranked game on Dorado I've ever had, where you get held before that first point. Someone just locks Bastion and everyone knows what to do. It's a Bastion. This is the quintessential Dorado we need to hold really well strat. That said, Dean on the Winston could bust this wide open pretty much on his own. Maybe with some help from Storm and Pandemonium, but we'll see how this goes.
And if Finite lands one hook here, that could be devastation depending on where he hits. Titan on the flank. Does get spotted, won't be able to go in immediately, but now he's set up for whenever the rest of his team wants to dive onto this defending Bastion composition, and that payload's moving forward all the while. Storm will get eliminated, and now the May jumps down onto the point to contest sleep. Onto Jules, makes him pretty vulnerable. He's got that cryo freeze, so when he wakes up, he's going to be able to keep himself alive. Bastion down on the low ground. That's not necessarily where you want your Bastion, but an Immortality Field will give Reindeer the support necessary to keep this objective locked down. An elimination onto Butterbeans, though, that could be critical in the long run. The res already being forced out, and there goes the other tank.
I think the support choices here from USF were fantastic. I think the BAP and the Mercy do a lot of work, like obviously bringing Butterbeans back and everything and providing the immortality for Reindeer on the Bastion. But at the same time, the struggle with this composition as we finish out this map and this series is just that you have to drop down at some point. And then once you do that, you kind of lose a lot of the structure provided by maintaining that high ground control. So rough end to the series there, but ultimately I appreciated the adaptation that USF were willing to attempt to bring that series back. They tried their best to keep it competitive that whole time. And ultimately that was not a bad game from them. I just think they were, like, by the numbers outmatched.
Look, I appreciate it that they had some fun with it too. Bringing out things like the Junkrat, the Bastion. They're playing with their hearts on the line here, and I appreciate it. And that's kind of what you have to do, right? When you're the 8th seed and you go up against the number 1 seed in the first round of a single elimination tournament, you got to just go all out with it. And credits to USF. They played, I think, pretty well, but ultimately, University of Central Florida are just so clean right now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said at the beginning of this, if I had to immediately, without looking, pick someone that was likely to win this whole thing, it would be UCF. So going up against them first as the number 8 seed, it's rough. And we kind of got what we expected there. But like you said, they made it fun. They had some fun with it. They had some moments there where they were playing, like, obviously they communicate, they're a full team. They play well together. They know each other. I think just mechanically, by the numbers, that wasn't going to happen. But they made it as fun as they could have made it.
Well, I certainly had fun, Thibble, and we're going to be having fun all day long on both streams. Reminder, here at Elo Hell Esports and over on the Florida Mayhem YouTube. So make sure you're checking out both streams. We're going to go to a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to have another match of the round of 8. It's going to be Florida Southern College, not to be confused with South Florida, who we just saw, versus Florida State University themselves. So make sure you stick around.
Duplicate the McCree just to make a point, Yaki. Once again, BQB. Oh no. And they C9 in the final seconds, no. Gravitic Flux cleans up absolutely everybody. Now the much more dangerous copy comes in. What a fire strike on an aim gun! Huge shatter in the back line! Yaki charging in, gets the pickup. Another shatter! I don't know if it's enough. A third one! Yaki, God, he's going crazy in the back line.
At Zaxby's, there's nothing better than hand-breaded chicken, unless it's hand-breaded chicken with sauce. From sweet to savory, mild to wild, even that world-famous Zax sauce. Whatever you're craving, we've got the sauce at Zaxby's.
I'm Saya player. I'm in the chip share hot seat.
Do you think it's better to play a more aggressive or passive Widowmaker?
네, 물론 뭐 위도메이커 자체는 상황에 맞게 공격적이게 할 수 있을 때 하고 수비적일 때는 또 수비적이게 할 수 있으면 좋은데 저는 개인적으로 좀 더 공격적인 성향을 추구해요.
Which maps do you think Widow is the best DPS pick for?
뭐 특정 맵이 전체적으로 좋다 이런 건 없고요. 뭐 쓰레기촌 1포나 뭐 3포도 좋을 때도 있고요. 또는 뭐 도라도나 뭐 좀 2층이 있고 좀 넓은 맵 위주면은 다 쓸만한 것 같아요. 뭐 특정 구간에서는 계속 바꿔야 될 때가 있지만요.
During a game, when should you consider switching off of your Widow?
상대방의 픽에 따라서도 많이 바뀌고 뭐 맵 특성상에 따라서도 바뀌고 뭐 제가 그냥 위도우 영웅 자체가 잘 안 된다고 느껴질 때도 바꾸고요.
Which heroes counter Widow?
뭐 기본적으로는 트레이서, 겐지, 뭐 손브라, 뭐 볼 정도가 있겠는데요. 가장 큰 카운터 같은 경우에는 볼이라고 볼 수 있고요. 뭐 위도 대 위도에서 가장 큰 카운터는 또 잘하는 위도 아니겠습니까?
Which game had your favorite Widow pop-off?
이번 연도엔 사실 없고요. 뭐 많이 나가지도 못했지만은 저번 연도도 괜찮게 했지만 아무래도 첫 시즌이 가장 괜찮았던 것 같아요. 첫 시즌은 뭐 위도를 많이 쓰는 만큼 경기들도 대부분 괜찮은 모습 보여줬었고 뭐 카르페랑 붙었던 때도 괜찮았던 것 같고 뭐 저기 발리언트랑 했던 때도 괜찮았던 것 같고 그런 것 같아요. 네.
How can I set a final blows record on Junkertown like you?
진지하게 답변을 좀 하자면 뭐 기회도 잘 돼야 되고 그냥 집중해서 잘 쏴야죠. 딜각도 잘 만들려 노력해야 되고 네. 팀이랑 합도 잘 맞아야 되고 뭐 복합적인 요소가 있겠죠.
Top 3 tips to being a good Widowmaker.
뭐 위도우뿐만이 아니긴 한데 항상 딜각을 잘 만들려고 노력하고 뭐 에임은 기본적으로 돼야 되고 상대방의 심리를 또 잘 읽어야 되고요. 만약에 적 위도우가 있을 때는 그리고 적 위도우랑 붙을 때 또 내가 안 맞는 각을 생각하면서 난 또 많이 넣을 수 있는 각을 생각하고 딱 그 정도인 것 같아요. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
gone 15% away from that big sound parry, and Wolf absorbs yet another pulse bomb from Yaki. Again. He should be grappling forward to get the melee kill. He gets the shot onto Dalton through the dragon. Another headshot.
Welcome back, everyone, from the break. We're back with more collegiate Overwatch goodness in the Mayhem Collegiate Rumble, and I do have to correct myself real quick. It is not going to be the two teams I said previously. It is instead Full Sail University versus the Florida Gulf Coast University. So my bad, guys, but it's still going to be some great Overwatch. Possible and Thibble here to bring you through the action.
Hello. It's good to be back.
Oh, yeah, and it's good to be seeing these two teams go at this next match, because the first one was admittedly a bit one-sided. Central looked pretty dominant. This one shaping up to probably be a good bit closer at the very least, Thibble.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how these two match up. Ultimately, it could, like you said, be a lot closer than our last one, which was not a stomp, but a 2-0. I will say that. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to see how Full Sail show up. Actually, I've heard good things about the team. They have some great names. We have Pepto Abysmal, which is
such a great name.
Fantastic.
That might be my favorite name in the tournament today.
Right, exactly. And I'm always curious about any player named Leaf, because I just have flashbacks to amazing Doomfist play. So, Full Sail Armada here could really surprise us. Their favorite composition is Hog, Wrecking Ball, Tracer, Pharah, Mercy, Lucio, which, what? Sure. fine. That sounds insane. So if they get the chance here as we go on to Lijiang to play their favorite composition, we could see some real chaos, and that is what I'm here for.
Oh, I always love chaos. Coming over from Chinese contenders, right? You learn to live in the chaos, just breathe it in through every nostril, all 2 of them. I don't know where I'm going with that, Thibble, but we got to go over to their competition today. The Thunderbirds coming from the Florida Gulf Coast University. They're not looking to be slouches in today's match.
By no means, no. They like a lot of Ryan Zarya, according to their team sheet here. I expect them to play some more stable, some more standard compositions than Roadhog Wrecking Ball, I suppose, that you don't get much less standard than that.
A little bit more orthodox.
Exactly, right. I mean, we've got some, we have a bioengineering major, we have some computer info systems majors, a supply chain management and marketing major from Morn at Dawn, some more stable majors, I suppose you could say, so some more standard stuff coming out of them. So I'm very curious to see what sort of compositions they have coming out, and if that can match perhaps the chaos we might see from Full Sail. That said, metas are weird right now, so really who knows what we'll see in general.
And we got no hero pools, right? So you can run anything you like, including a Symmetra, to get straight to the point. Both teams opting for that strategy. Oh, it's pandemonium, chaos, and an immortality field isn't going to keep one alive for either team, actually. It's an even trade, still 5v5. Gulf Coast are forced off the objective, though, as it's starting to unlock. They're gonna have to find a way to push back in. They've got a tiny little choke, already an amplification matrix, but a beautiful boost! Yakisoba setting that up perfectly for Full Sail, and they're gonna get this first cap.
Yeah, Yaki said he likes his Lucio. Yaki Soba, not Yaki, the one on my team.
You're
Sorry.
familiar with both.
Yeah, abbreviating can get a little confusing. It's just in my nature, I suppose. I'm digging the sim pick. I'm digging that Splone is sticking to it, and Mr. Moo is swapping off to the Ash, which is actually a very standard pick, which is what we expected coming out from Gulf Coast. So, not bad. But that said, I mean, they built a lot of ultimates over here. So now we're looking at almost five ultimates for the defenders as we get into this one.
Good opening pick, though. And a nice Earth Shatter, grabbing one there. Earth Shatter coming the opposite direction, not going to guarantee any value. That being said, you're still main tank down for Florida Gulf Coast. The Gravitic Flux deals so much damage to the remaining tank of FGC. They're not going to be able to stick on the objective. They got nothing protecting them, and thus they're going to be removed consequently.
So Rhythm and the Bung were getting some value both in terms of damage and survivability on their respective heroes. They're both approaching an ultimate as well as Nightmare, who's almost to his Blizzard. But Beaver Biscuit and Splona were still doing so much damage with Higu on the cleanup with the Reaper. I mean, it's really tough to try and push into something like that when there's so much pressure being applied.
Now we're ticking up towards 70%. Starting to get a little risky here for Florida. Oh, whoa! What is that? That's nasty! That's the amplification matrix with the Fire Strike hitting 3 Thibble.
I think we had the Atlanta Rain special there, as much as I hate to call it that as someone who works for Florida. I think just a window into a Fire Strike is now proving to be a combination as old as time. It's super effective. You deal a ridiculous amount of damage, and it goes through shields. I mean, what more could you ask for?
I mean, at this point for Full Sail, they don't have to ask for much more. They're nearly at 100%. Blizzard going to start it off here for Full Gulf Coast, and this is the best chance they've had all map of getting onto the objective. They've already got 2. Death Blossom, not going to find anything from Higu. And they don't have even so much as a % to work with, but Florida Gulf Coast are not out of Gardens yet.
I mean, great value off of the Blizzard, first off. That caught almost everyone. Higu got away, but then he used his Death Blossom after a couple people had already died, so I don't really like that move too much. I also, it took him a second to get that teleporter down. I was going to say, if they leave that up, they're in trouble. So now Full Sail have the chance to recontest with, again, 4 ultimates coming online. It feels like I've said that every fight. They're doing really well there.
Matt Maywall doesn't find the ideal split that Florida Gulf were looking for. There's a Gravitic Flux. Oh, it's nasty. Hits onto 4. And 1 is already going to be eliminated. Immortality Field going to keep the rest of Florida Gulf alive for a moment. The Earth Shatter whiffs, though. K not able to find much with that. And afterwards, it's a slaughter in favor of Full Sail. They allowed Florida Gulf 40-some%, but ultimately, round 1 is going over to the Armada.
Yeah, Full Sail there doing a great job of managing their ultimates, and again, just having so much front-loaded damage. You have a fully charged Symmetra, you have a Reaper and a Sigma that's hitting his shots. You're not going to have a really great answer to that without some major adaptations coming out from Gulf Coast. They were trying towards the end. I appreciated the Ashe swap towards the beginning, and the Mei did get some value, but ultimately I think they need either a little more damage to kind of stand toe-to-toe with the composition that Full Sail is running, or a way to mitigate the damage more effectively. We'll see if this Ryan Zarya composition has a little more luck here on Gardens, but we're also seeing some adjustments coming out from Full Sail. Let's see if they stick with the Sim or go with the Torb or who knows what.
Sim on Gardens is often just for a teleport to the team. Torb.
Here we go.
Splona walking out on it. Interesting that he's coming out on a slower hero after using the Sim to teleport the rest of his team forward, but he's going to be there in plenty of time for the fight regardless. That being said, Full Sail do have to give up control of White Room over to the opposing team. A little bit of a wall there. Spluna gets caught early. A nice headshot there from Mr. Moo. Turret eliminated too, so you're not working out a player advantage. Higu hits the nasty shots though, and now Full Sail can push through. A wall is going to delay them, but Full Sail are going to run over Florida Gulf as they walk onto this objective. Higu's just been nasty today.
Yeah, I mean, great initiation and great positioning from Florida Gulf Coast, but ultimately when the McCree's hitting shots, the McCree's hitting shots, and Higu decided that he was going to click the heads and win the fight, and there's just not a lot you can do there. So now they have the chance to recontest. They have the amplification matrix built up for the Bung, which is a fantastic name as well. Let's see if they can actually make this rotation into White Room smoothly.
Can K find a similar fire strike matching that of Anarchy's earlier? Already a Graviton Surge, well-placed Immortality Field, going to keep everybody alive through it. So you trade an ultimate for a 20-second cooldown. Florida going to be happy with that, and the picks coming through for their team. Mr. Moo, he's no slouch himself. It might have been Higu who found the better end of him, but Anarchy finds the better end of K. Beautiful timing on that Earth Shatter. A little hairy for Full Sail, but they hold on.
Yeah, see, Mr. Moo, some top-tier analysis here. Mr. Moo decided to hit a couple shots, which was good, but then Splona hit the shot onto Mr. Moo and stopped him from doing that anymore. So, you know, sometimes the Torb, you're just firing at center mass at Torb, right? There's a fight going on and you're just spraying rivets, but occasionally one of them hits somebody in the face, and that's pretty good. So a quick cleanup from Splona there. In addition, I will say some great immortality fields coming out from both of these teams, denying some major ultimates and making these fairly straight fights.
And now with so many resources available for Florida Gulf, you can expect them to push in a little bit stronger here. An ambitious charge in from Anarchy, no punish though. Coming out from Full Sail, he got frozen up for a second, but Bob is immediately dispatched. That Earthshatter does catch 3 members from Full Sail. You gotta connect onto those eliminations though, and it doesn't seem to be the case for Florida Gulf. It's just trades either way. Blizzard going to lock up Anarchy right at the edge of it. Somebody's got to finish him off. Now the sound barrier's coming in. Audrey, good timing on that, but it doesn't save anyone from the molten core on the floor. Full Sail, it hasn't been easy, but they're looking to get it done. It's just a wrecking ball spinning around the point, looking to start this overtime.
Such a scrappy round entirely. It's weird to see that actually went 99-0 given how intense those fights were. I want to give last fight MVP to Splona's turret because it got 3 kills just on its own, just putting away. And I think that just says that the main take for the main take for Gulf Coast, there was just so much pressure that you couldn't even keep your shield up to prevent the damage from the Torb turret, and it did its deadly work. It literally does not miss. So, you know, quick cleanup there on that fight, despite that entire round being so scrappy. And a great boop here from Yaki to get that play of the game early on.
Just nasty. A nasty boop. And that's kind of the risk you run if you try and retreat out that doorway, right? Especially if they have a Lucio or anything that can get an environmental kill, but good work from Full Sail University. They put the first map on the board. They still got to secure one more, though, before they move on to the semifinals. We'll see how that shapes up for them after a quick break.
Speed Freaks game. Speed Freaks have 500 meg internet for just $39.99 a month plus taxes and fees. Let us guide the Speed Freak in you.
Told y'all it'd be a quick break. We're already back with more of the Mayhem Collegiate Rumble. Once again, it's possible and Thibble with at least one more map, hopefully two. But so far, Full Sail University have been, at least point-wise, a bit dominant, although these fights are pretty close, Thibble.
Right. We talked about this during the break. The fights made that look really close, but the numbers did not make it look close at all. What you pointed out was that there was really no poke phase in a lot of those fights. It was really just like, okay, we're here. Let's fight. Let's go. Okay, we died. Let's go again.
We're moving.
Constant,
We're moving.
Absolutely
Steaming
constant
down.
action, which makes for great Overwatch, but ultimately not for a really close game, strictly in terms of objective percentage, because Gulf Coast were never actually able even to cap the point for a second on Gardens on that second phase, despite those fights honestly going pretty back and forth. Some great ultimates, some great cooldown usage, I think, coming out from both sides. Great immortality fields coming out.
I was going to say.
Torbjorn turrets doing work and Molten Cores doing what Molten Cores do. I like the Torbjorn pick. I appreciated the adaptation. I think it was a great move, strictly because of the shield pressure they were able to put on. But now on Dorado, though, we have to see, do they go for that again? Like, is that even possible? Like, what are these guys going to feel like on a map that plays out a little differently, perhaps, than Lijiang Tower?
I mean, theoretically, right, you can run the Torbjorn, especially depending on what the attacking team plays. As Full Sail, they're going to be rolling out on the defense. It was Florida Gulf Coast University's map pick. As a reminder, loser picks in these series. The higher seed, picked map 1. So Full Sail, they wanted to go to Lijiang, but now it's Florida Gulf Coast stomping ground. They've actually got a Gulf Coast right there on the map, technically, right?
They do, actually, yes.
So home field advantage as far as I'm concerned. Let's see if they can make it work.
So technically, we don't know where Dorado is. That could be the Gulf of Mexico or the Pacific Ocean. We're not sure. But either way, let's not get into geography here. I'm loving the compositions coming out from both of these guys, especially from Full Sail. The Echo Hanzo is really interesting. This has a lot of damage and a lot of shield pressure. Let's see what they can do.
Echo Ash, this is probably the most meta we've seen today, and Ash is going to have to do everything now. So is Hanzo. Both Echoes immediately eliminated. They're not able to play behind their shields, toggle as effectively as they necessarily wanted to, so now it comes down to how these snipers play out. Those choke points can be pretty nasty, though, for Florida Gulf to try and push through.
Yeah, a great ultimate generation from Mr. Moo. Obviously, getting the headshots really helps with that, but the Dynamite is also getting value as he's just throwing them over shields.
He just waits. He just throws Dynamite in, triggers it, backs up, waits for the next Dynamite, throws it in. Now we're going to have a more fully commitment of a fight here for Florida Gulf Coast. K runs forward. Got to look for trades from Florida Gulf, and they do manage to take out Anarchy, so no more stable barriers, but there's the amplification matrix from Full Sail University. A later one, and with a bit more value, they're able to at least deny this push momentarily. Gravitic Flux up in the air. Both these teams really just refusing to reset. It's just eliminations trickling in one by one, but Florida Gulf slowly starting to get the better end of it.
Yeah, I think they, just with the spawn advantage and the nature of their comp, they can kind of whittle through the longer fights. I think Biscuit and Splona and Higu just in general have insane burst damage. If they can get the early picks, they can do really well. But otherwise, I think Gulf Coast will actually pull out a lot of these longer fights due to the higher healing output and the greater shield pressure to avoid some of the more burstier effects like the Zarya bubbles and stuff like that. They can avoid perhaps the sticky bombs and the storm arrows and things of that nature.
And now it's all about that high ground, but only one player actually for the defense can be playing on it. It's their Baptiste, Yakisoba, just playing defensively with it. Ooh, Okay, Supercharger gives Full Sail enough damage to immediately pick off Rhythm. Zarya is pretty much the squishiest tank in the game, so a nice opening pick there, but they're not going to get more out of it.
No, and good disengage as well. You know, like even before the pick came through, they were like, okay, the Supercharger's out, let's back up a bit. Yes, the pick was unlucky. Leaf got a great shot there. I think it was a volley, but I'm not 100% sure. So even then, you know, okay, we definitely need to back up now. Let's come back, let's get this Shatter and see what we can do.
Walks past the shields. That's the benefit of playing Reinhardt into an Orisa. Lays down a bunch with the Earth Shatter, but you gotta look for more eliminations, and you can't walk into a Dragon Strike. Beautiful disengage from Full Sail there. They peel back. They keep most of the team alive. Higu finds monster value and then just chucks Bob duplicate towards the spawn. It sticks around too. That's interesting.
That is insane. Both in terms of just like the turnaround off of, they were down initially, but then those ultimates gave them the kind of the leg back up. And also Higu got a 3K just by swapping to Ashe, which I love. I love to see flex DPS just like, oh yeah, I can play hitscan too. Trust me, don't worry about it.
Well, I will still kill you. You think I can't click heads?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that stuff. I love to see it.
Now we got the amplification matrix down yet again, and Full Sail are just tearing them apart. Florida Gulf, they can't push forward. They've just got to sound the retreat. As we hit still 3 minutes in their time bank, so plenty of time to work with.
Yeah, this is still very back and forth. You know, Full Sail are getting the picks and winning these fights, but not without losing 1 or 2 on the way out, which at least keeps their regrouping times a little quicker and perhaps giving them a little bit of a window to get back in at a man advantage. But Higu swapping to the Widow here could make things real interesting. Nightmare has been getting picked off a bit, so he's going to have to be really careful.
Early rally from Florida Gulf. Ooh, there's the pick.
Hold it.
You absolutely did, Thibble, and the picks just keeping up. Higu's a nut on this Widowmaker thus far. Nice Earth Shatter, but Immortality Field is going to deny a good chunk of its value. That being said, the payload's still moving forward, and Florida Gulf, they're starting to run out of steam. Nice Fire Strike from K to try and keep it moving forward, and Anarchy steps a little bit too far forward into the enemy team. Now it's just a slow retreat from Full Sail. A desperate Dragon Strike thrown straight at an Immortality Field. Not looking like he's going to get much with that one, and Florida Gulf looking like they're going to cap this second point.
Okay, I want to shout out K there because one, there were a lot of great things happening there for Florida Gulf Coast. Initially, I was really critical of the charge that K brought through, but they had the support from Bung just to walk forward and keep swinging, and that actually helped them clean up what might have been a regroupable fight. So good comms and good trust coming out from Gulf Coast to understand when they can walk forward and make the most of their advantage.
The amount of healing Bung is outputting right now is just allowing his team to play such high tempo. And you can see that's where they're most comfortable. K's already nearly back at that Earth Shatter. Ooh, a bit too high tempo though. Didn't expect the amplification matrix yet again from Yakisoba, and he gets chunked out. He was alone there. This is a tale we've seen a few times this map. Amplification matrix goes down from the defense. Don't expect anyone to push successfully.
I mean, it's a total slap fight with amp matrices because both teams have them every fight. So it's just like, oh, you want a window? We'll window. We'll use ours. Oh, no, well, we'll use ours. And I think just pulling it out at these random times because they always have it, they're building it so fast because of the amount of damage coming out, means that both teams are getting kind of caught off guard by the tempo at which those ultimates are coming out. And the amount of damage from Leaf coming out doesn't help either.
That's the second time Leaf has gotten a gnarly pick in an early fight, and that's just a 20-second stall. We're down to 2 minutes left to finish the map.
Yeah, I mean, the ults, again, coming thick and fast for both teams on pretty much every role, which is awesome. I love it. It's just a matter of which team can make the most of that and which team can avoid the most of the enemy's ultimates. Because sometimes you can negate a supercharger or an amp matrix by backing up. Sometimes you can negate a fight by having your Sigma pick off a Lucio randomly.
Yeah, that's 2 fights in a row, right? For Full Sail, where they just throw down 1 damage ult and get... Actually, it's 3 in a row, because that happened to K too. So
yes, it did.
Full Sail, they're playing very economically right now with their time. They don't need to take full fights or give over ult charge. They're just getting picks.
Yeah, and I think a big part of them always having these ultimates is because, 1, because they're doing so much damage, and 2, because they're smart about their...
That's a nasty Gravitic Flux. Immortality Field perfectly placed from the Bung, though, to deny most of its value. Still pretty low health members, though, for Florida. They got the first pick, but they need to capitalize, and it's just so much damage up on the high ground being pumped out from Full Sail. You get a lot out of the defense there for Florida, but you're starting to run out of time.
right, you have to think like, hey, we're under a minute. We kind of need to make something out of this. But at the same time, do you want to throw out one ultimate and then potentially waste it, which is kind of what happened with Nightmare's duplication? Now they have 5 ultimates coming up, but a Dragon Strike and a Transcendence could do a lot to negate both of those. They call Dragon Strike the ultimate zoning tool, in my elo at least, which is not high. I like Nightmare's swap onto the McCree. He knows he's not going to get another duplication. He's going to try and get value and counter at mid-range against the Ashe and the Hanzo.
Amplification Matrix immediately out. K is chunked down that Discord Orb from Leaf. Enables Full Sail to deal so much damage. And that Dynamite actually mostly whiffs. Early Sound Barrier has to be committed here from Audrey, and if they don't get picks, they're going to run out of steam. Florida need to move forward aggressively. A Transcendence is going to deny the value out of their Graviton, and Higu's still just on this high ground, picking them to bits, taking them apart, nearly all the way there, 69.1 meters. It's a pretty nice push from Florida Gulf, but they won't be able to get all the way.
Yeah, I think despite coming in with the number of ultimates they did, I don't think they got enough value off of a couple of them to really make that fight work. The Graviton obviously countered by the Transcendence. That's a classic counter. I'm sure they saw that one coming. It at least kept them on the high ground and let the cart keep moving for a bit. But as soon as the Graviton was finished, it was easy enough to drop down and just kind of clean everybody up. It doesn't help as well that Hiku got 2 or 3 kills in that last fight, and in general has been doing quite well for himself on pretty much any hero he wants. So I don't think Nightmare has really been able to keep up with him or Splona. And while Mr. Moo is doing a good amount of work, it wasn't consistent enough, I think, to really make up for the difference in damage outputs of these two teams and these two compositions. Back on Dorado, though, means we're back with our favorite robot.
And really, we're giving Bastion 2 matches in a row on point A. The Junkrat to pair with it too. Florida Gulf. They're going for. This is like it's almost like an OG bunker with some new flavors. You know, the Sigma and the Baptiste, obviously. But this is a crazy composition coming out from them. It's risky. I gotta say that, Thibble. It's risky because if they get rolled over, they're not gonna have much steam to come back with.
Well, unlike our first match with Bastion in this position, at least the yellow box of victory isn't directly below their feet. If this fails, they can start backing up. If this fails, they can swap off compositions. This is not a one and done. Maybe hit the Orisa shields in the right spot, but otherwise, you know, you could make this work, and you have the time and the space to adjust if you need to. And you can just hit shots like that from the Bung. Holy cow.
If the Bung switching over to that Zen, he was a nut on the Baptiste, and now he's showing us he's got the flexibility on the flex support role. Somebody's got to get down and contest this payload, or we need to see a rotation from Florida Gulf. K's down there. He's on the Sigma, interestingly enough. They've seemed to have swapped roles, the tanks of Florida Gulf, that is. So the rotation does come out, and now you get to hold this choke point if you're Florida Gulf. Early Immortality field having to be invested. You need to find picks now, and they do. Mr. Moo on the Bastion going to delete the Sigma, and Full Sail, of course, to wait.
I think a really strong strategical point here for Gulf Coast is that they have supports that where both of them can play Baptiste. I think that amount of depth in your support core is super useful in this sort of meta, where you often need 2 flex supports or something like that. This lets them kind of flex around with their compositions way more freely, and it's getting them a ton of value.
And the DPS for Full Sail are not being given nearly as much room to work with on their offense as they were with their defense. Higo and now Spluna have been picked pretty early in these fights, and this choke point's nasty. Junkrat and Bastion. I'd kind of like to see Full Sail go for the full rotate. I gotta be honest. And they are.
I see them making it. I like that rotation. I think it's one of the only options to get past that gnarly choke point. They also have a duplication coming up, and they're a little ways off from the Ant Matrix and the tank ultimates, but in a longer fight, they could build those. Let's see what they can get.
Nice Dynamite there. Lands on most of Florida Gulf. Immortality field early from Audrey, and already the Bung is going to go down. Less support for Mr. Moon. That means he is eliminated. Beautiful rotation from Full Sail and a dump of abilities to match. K throws out the Gravitic Flux a little bit late in this fight, considering how much Florida Gulf have already lost, and they're going to lose point A to boot.
I was going to say, I picture a swap coming through, and I see Mu swapping off onto the Ashe, even though he had the tank ultimate, which is not hugely impactful. That's not a huge loss. I was expecting K to swap onto the Reinhardt, but he's sticking with the Sigma. I think he just thought he could get some value off of that Gravitic Flux, and he really just didn't. But the Tire, the Supercharger, and both support ults coming online, assuming you don't get picked like that, could mean that once they get regrouped, oh man, they get something out.
Somebody deal with Higu. I was saying he was getting less room to work with. This is what happens if he's uncontested. He just waltzes up onto that high ground, gets 2 beautiful picks. That's over half of point B gone now on the defense.
And that's the weakness, I think, of Gulf Coast composition, the biggest weakness. There are probably a couple. If you don't have the time to set up both of your shields and deny the angles for the enemy DPS, like you said, suddenly they have the space to work with, and Higu and Splona have both proven they will take advantage of it, and they will take your head off your shoulders. So they need to make sure that they're properly set up defensively here, or this fight won't be a fight at all.
Riptire gets eliminated, but at least Higu is taken down too. So if nothing else, the Riptire provided a nice distraction there. Mr. Mu trying to shut down the Sigma mid-Gravitic Flux, but there's that experimental barrier to save him on low health. Mr. Mu does have a nice angle here into the backline. You gotta hit the shot on the Leaf and no dice for the Ashe of Florida Golf. Supercharger, though, gives Florida enough damage, at least momentarily, to dissuade Full Sail. Will expire, though, and there comes in Bob from Higu. So now the full push from Full Sail. They're just trying to run over the defending members. Rhythm goes down. The other tank pretty low. The payload creeping towards the end, and nobody's able to stick on it for Florida Golf. It's a 4-minute time bank as we enter the last checkpoint.
Yeah, way too strong a rush for Full Sail as they continue to push forward. Anarchy getting a triple on the cleanup here with potentially another one down. Biscuit cleans up onto Nightmare. This is another half of this last, I guess, air quotes, street phase, and the yellow box of victory is only around that second corner. Great rock coming out from K, but they're gonna need to set up and probably use just about everything just to try and hold them off. With 3.5 minutes left on the time bank, this is looking rough.
As expected, Bob goes down immediately, so he's going to be able to contest that objective and keep it from moving, rather. Although, that being said, Mr. Moo's already gone. This is a desperation Gravitic Flux for Florida Golf, and it works out beautifully. Already so much damage onto Full Sail. They've lost 2 members to boot. Now you got to lock down this objective, though. Okay, under a lot of pressure, forced to use his kinetic grasp. He's under fire, but his DPS are coming up with work. You can't drop down into the enemy lines, though, Nightmare. You gotta stay alive, poke from a distance. Nobody's there dealing damage for Florida. It's just Rhythm desperately trying to hold on. Now Mr. Moves back into this fight, and Gulf Coast will barely cling to life.
Nightmare really showed up there, actually. In the first part of that fight, he got 3 kills, and then it was easy enough for the tanks to clean up, even if he had to drop down and die there. I think he was expecting a little more heals, but both of his heals, I believe, were either down or just out of angle to support him. So a good enough cleanup to really hold them off for now, but they're going to need to keep doing that, and they only have... They're close to 3 ultimates, but let's see how many they actually build before they start getting taken out.
Ooh, that's a nasty Gravitic Flux. It lands on a 4, and this time there's no Immortality Field to deny picks like the one onto Mr. Moon. Now Bob's out from Higu, dealing so much damage to the backline. The duplicate onto the Brig, not even going to get up to the rally for Nightmare. Now he's in the air, getting shot down by Higu. He's not eliminated as of yet, but nobody is going to keep this cart contested for Florida Golf. Just a Wrecking Ball left to eliminate, and Full Sail will take this 2-0. They're so close to the semifinal. Already so much damage onto Rhythm. Can he get to the point? Yes, but will he be able to stall it for long? I do not think so. We need an elimination for Florida Golf. Somebody has to come up with a miracle to turn the tide, and it's not looking like it'll happen. K's back on the Wrecking Ball yet again. Booped up to the high ground, and the pile driver is just a bit too late. Full Sail Armada, they got the win behind them, and they're going to move on to the semifinals of the Mayhem Collegiate Rumble.
It was a rough duplication from Nightmare at the start of that fight. I think he was actually going for the Reinhardt and looked like he missed. You do have to aim to choose who you're going to duplicate, and it looks like he didn't quite get who he wanted. Brigitte is a decent pick in brawly fights like that, but when you're right on the front line and easily focused down by the enemy tank line, you're not going to get value out of it in a fight like
Yeah.
that. You're going to burn down way too quickly. So if that duplicate had gone onto the Reinhardt or even the Sigma, you could have seen a slightly different fight. But ultimately, I think the ultimate advantage for Full Sail would have eventually provided them the win.
And we got to talk about Higu, right? Just a nut on every hero he played, but especially the Ashe, getting picks time after time, fight after fight. Just a monster on the hit scan roll, and he's got some wonderful teammates. And looking at Leaf, Spluna, Yaki, actually everybody on this roster, I'll just throw them all in there. They played really well, and you can see why they're a number 2 seed coming into this tournament.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the coordination is apparent, and the mechanical skill is apparent. I actually want to shout out Higu's Widow. He was only on it for like one
It
fight,
was brief.
but I'm pretty sure he walked up, got 3 kills, said, "My work here is done," and then swapped back, which is just, chef's kiss here. I love moves like that. I dig the Hanzo pick from Splona. I dig the aggressive and like confident tank play from Anarchy and Beaver Biscuit. And I think the support core as well is really tuned in to the tempo that this team wants to push, if they're not deciding that tempo themselves, because traditionally the supports have kind of been your in-game leaders for a team. Overall, this looks like a very comprehensive squad, and we could see some great matches here in the later stages for them as we move forward.
Yeah, beautiful start there. They've got to keep it going, though. They're going to be meeting somebody in the semifinals. The match to see who they will go up against is currently being played over on the Florida Mayhem YouTube, so make sure you head over there. There's still more action on the Elo Hell Esports YouTube. We're going to be back with the semifinals. I'll be subbing out, but the wonderful Leg Day will be coming on in. I'm sure you're all familiar with him. So good luck to all the teams still remaining in the tournament, to everybody already eliminated. Thank you so much. We love your participation in this. Thanks to the Florida Mayhem for letting us at Elo Hell Esports come in and cast. Thank you, Thibble, for casting with me today, and good luck on the rest of the tournament. To all of you at home, stick around. We'll be back with more Collegiate Overwatch in just a second.
I'm Saya player. I'm in the Jeep Share hot seat.
Do you think it's better to play a more aggressive or passive Widowmaker?
네, 물론 뭐 위도메이커 자체는 상황에 맞게 공격적이게 할 수 있을 때 하고 수비적일 때는 또 수비적이게 할 수 있으면 좋은데 저는 개인적으로 좀 더 공격적인 성향을 추구해요.
Which maps do you think Widow is the best DPS pick for?
뭐 특정 맵이 전체적으로 좋다 이런 건 없고요. 뭐 쓰레기촌 1포나 뭐 3포도 좋을 때도 있고요. 또는 뭐 도라도나 뭐 좀 2층이 있고 좀 넓은 맵 위주면은 다 쓸만한 것 같아요. 뭐 특정 구간에서는 계속 바꿔야 될 때가 있지만요.
During a game, when should you consider switching off of your Widow?
상대방의 픽에 따라서도 많이 바뀌고 뭐 맵 특성상에 따라서도 바뀌고 뭐 제가 그냥 위도 영웅 자체가 잘 안 된다고 느껴질 때도 바꾸고요.
Which heroes counter Widow?
뭐 기본적으로는 트레이서, 겐지, 뭐 선브라, 뭐 볼 정도가 있겠는데요. 가장 큰 카운터 같은 경우에는 볼이라고 볼 수 있고요. 뭐 위도 대 위도에서 가장 큰 카운터는 또 잘하는 위도 아니겠습니까?
Which game had your favorite Widow pop-off?
이번 연도엔 사실 없고요. 뭐 많이 나가지도 못했지만은 저번 연도도 괜찮게 했지만 아무래도 첫 시즌이 가장 괜찮았던 것 같아요. 첫 시즌은 뭐 위도를 많이 쓰는 만큼 경기들도 대부분 괜찮은 모습 보여줬었고 뭐 카르페랑 붙었던 때도 괜찮았던 것 같고 뭐 저기 발리언트랑 했던 때도 괜찮았던 것 같고 그런 것 같아요. 네.
How can I set a final blows record on Junkertown like you?
진지하게 답변을 좀 하자면 뭐 기회도 잘 돼야 되고 그냥 집중해서 잘 쏴야죠. 딜각도 잘 만들려 노력해야 되고 네. 팀이랑 합도 잘 맞아야 되고 뭐 복합적인 요소가 있겠죠.
Top 3 tips to being a good Widowmaker.
뭐 위도우뿐만이 아니긴 한데 항상 딜각을 잘 만들려고 노력하고 뭐 에임은 기본적으로 돼야 되고 상대방의 심리를 또 잘 읽어야 되고요. 만약에 적 위도우가 있을 때는 그리고 적 위도우랑 붙을 때 또 내가 안 맞는 각을 생각하면서 난 또 많이 넣을 수 있는 각을 생각하고 딱 그 정도인 것 같아요. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe.
Hi, I'm Karen, and I'm in the Jeep chair hot seat.
Feeder, not feeder. San Francisco Shock, Sinatra.
Not feeder. 둠피스트를 너무 잘해요.
New York Excelsior, Libero.
Not feeder. 메이한테 너무 처맞았기 때문에 리베로 선수.
토론토 로직스.
Not feeder. Maybe? 위도 잘하시는 것 같아요. 히트 스캔 종류.
Houston Outlaws, Blase.
feeder.
Why?
그때 맥크리가 너무 아팠어요.
Shanghai Dragons, Lee Jae-gon.
feeder. 루시 할 때 맨날 던져요 그냥. 예전에 같은 치였는데 그때부터 계속 던졌어요.
Philadelphia Fusion, Carpe.
Not feeder. 그냥 영웅까지 진짜 개쳐맞았죠 카르페 선수한테.
LA Valiant, Apply.
feeder. 경쟁전에서 몇 번 봤는데 조금 그 다음에 안 만나기 어보이드 하고 나서 좀 꼴 좀 빤 것 같아요. 그래서 그때 4등 찍었어요.
LA Gladiators, LH Cloudy.
feeder. 그때 게임에서 만났을 때 진짜 너무 쉽게 이겨가지고 그 사람도 어보이드 한 것 같아요.
Florida Mayhem, Fate.
Not feeder. 왜냐면 항상 보고 많이 배웠고 잘하는 형이기 때문에 보고 많이 배우고 있어요.
Paris Eternal, Sparkle.
feeder. 진짜 경쟁전에서 미친놈 마냥 갖다 꼬라박아요 그냥. 그래서 항상 안 만나기 자리는 항상 1등석.
Florida Mayhem, Gargoyle.
feeder. 게임 하다 보면 갑자기 말없이 뭔가 하고 있는데 저 앞에 가가지고 아 씨발 나 죽는다 이러고 뒤져요.
Florida Mayhem, 강남진.
feeder. 자꾸 죽기 전에 살려달라고 하는데 살려줄 수도 없는 위치에서 살려달라고 하니까 뭐야 이렇게 이러고 그냥 가만히 있어요.
Yaki, Florida Mayhem.
feeder. 왜냐면 저랑 이제 연계를 하면서 궁을 써야 될 때가 있는데 그냥 갑자기 제가 돼? 쓸 수 있어? 쓸 수 있어? 한 진짜 5번 물어봐요. 근데 가만히 말없이 써요. 그러면은 좀 화가 나죠. 네?
Orion, Florida Mayhem.
Not feeder. 항상 저는 잘하고 캐리하죠. 다음 경기 때도 보여드릴게요. 아틀란타전에서. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.
Speed Freaks game. Speed Freaks have 500 meg internet for just $39.99 a month plus taxes and fees. Let us guide the Speed Freak in you.
At Zaxby's, there's nothing better than hand-breaded chicken, unless it's hand-breaded chicken with sauce. From sweet to savory, mild to wild, even that world-famous Zax sauce. Whatever you're craving, we've got the sauce at Zaxby's.
Going to be gone 15% away from that sound barrier, and Wolf absorbs yet another pulse bomb from Yaki. Again. He should be grappling forward to get the melee kill. He gets the shot onto Dalton through the dragon. Another headshot.
한국 컨텐더스 명문팀에서 리그로 올라오게 돼서 사실은 부담감은 있어요.
That one instantly. Creative gonna be taken out. The drop down. A bunch of damage coming in off the back of the Doomfist. The uppercut is there. Yaki, he finishes off Overrun. Wheelhaul is gone. Stalker, the last one to fall. The wipe is there. Runaway. They hold out home. QOQ dead on the ground. Suddenly Yaki comes alive. He's found MCD as well. Houndman slow. Mag will finish him off. That resurrection paying off big time.
duplicate the McCree just to make a point. Yaki.
once again, BQB.
Oh no!
And they C9 in the final seconds. No! Gravitic Flux cleans up absolutely everybody. Now the much more dangerous copy comes in. What a fire strike on an aim gun! Huge shatter in the back line! Yaki's charging in, gets the pickup. Another shatter! I don't know if it's enough. A third one! Yaki, God, he's going crazy in the back line.
Speed Freaks game. Speed Freaks have 500 meg internet for just $39.99 a month plus taxes and fees. Let us guide the Speed Freak in you.
At Zaxby's, there's nothing better than hand-breaded chicken. Unless it's hand-breaded chicken with sauce. From sweet to savory, mild to wild, even that world-famous Zax sauce. Whatever you're craving, we've got the sauce at Zaxby's.
Saya player. I'm in the Jeep chair hot seat.
Do you think it's better to play a more aggressive or passive Widowmaker?
네, 물론 뭐 위도메이커 자체는 상황에 맞게 공격적이게 할 수 있을 때 하고 수비적일 때는 또 수비적이게 할 수 있으면 좋은데 저는 개인적으로 좀 더 공격적인 성향을 추구해요.
Which maps do you think Widow is the best DPS pick for?
뭐 특정 맵이 전체적으로 좋다 이런 건 없고요. 뭐 쓰레기촌 1포나 뭐 3포도 좋을 때도 있고요. 또는 뭐 도라도나 뭐 좀 2층이 있고 좀 넓은 맵 위주면은 다 쓸만한 것 같아요. 뭐 특정 구간에서는 계속 바꿔야 될 때가 있지만요.
During a game, when should you consider switching off of your Widow?
상대방의 픽에 따라서도 많이 바뀌고 뭐 맵 특성상에 따라서도 바뀌고 뭐 제가 그냥 위도 영웅 자체가 잘 안 된다고 느껴질 때도 바꾸고요.
Which heroes counter Widow?
뭐 기본적으로는 트레이서, 겐지, 뭐 손브라, 뭐 볼 정도가 있겠는데요. 가장 큰 카운터 같은 경우에는 볼이라고 볼 수 있고요. 뭐 위도 대 위도에서 가장 큰 카운터는 또 잘하는 위도 아니겠습니까?
Which game had your favorite Widow pop-off?
이번 연도엔 사실 없고요. 뭐 많이 나가지도 못했지만은 저번 연도도 괜찮게 했지만 아무래도 첫 시즌이 가장 괜찮았던 것 같아요. 첫 시즌은 뭐 위도를 많이 쓰는 만큼 경기들도 대부분 괜찮은 모습 보여줬었고 뭐 카르페랑 붙었던 때도 괜찮았던 것 같고 뭐 저기 발리언트랑 했던 때도 괜찮았던 것 같고 그런 것 같아요. 네.
How can I set a final blows record on Junkertown like you?
진지하게 답변을 좀 하자면 뭐 기회도 잘 돼야 되고 그냥 집중해서 잘 쏴야죠. 딜각도 잘 만들려 노력해야 되고 네. 팀이랑 합도 잘 맞아야 되고 뭐 복합적인 요소가 있겠죠.
Top 3 tips to being a good Widowmaker.
뭐 위도우뿐만이 아니긴 한데 항상 딜각을 잘 만들려고 노력하고 뭐 에임은 기본적으로 돼야 되고 상대방의 심리를 또 잘 읽어야 되고요. 만약에 적 위도우가 있을 때는 그리고 적 위도우랑 붙을 때 또 내가 안 맞는 각을 생각하면서 난 또 많이 넣을 수 있는 각을 생각하고 딱 그 정도인 것 같아요. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
Zaxby's, there's nothing better than hand-breaded chicken, unless it's hand-breaded chicken with sauce. From sweet to savory, mild to wild, even that world-famous Zax sauce. Whatever you're craving, we've got the sauce at Zaxby's.
Gone 15% away from that big sound barrier and absorbs yet another pulse bomb from Yaki. Again. He should be grappling forward to get the melee kill. He gets the shot onto Dalton through the dragon. Another headshot.
Speed Freaks game. Speed Freaks have 500 meg internet for just $39.99 a month plus taxes and fees. Let us guide the speed freak in you.
At Zaxby's, there's nothing better than hand-breaded chicken, unless it's hand-breaded chicken with sauce. From sweet to savory, mild to wild, even that world-famous Zax sauce. Whatever you're craving, we've got the sauce at Zaxby's.
한국 컨텐더스 명문팀에서 리그로 올라오게 돼서 사실은 부담감은 있어요.
Pops that one instantly. Creative gonna be taken out. The drop down. A bunch of damage coming in off the back of the Doomfist. The uppercut is there. Yaki, he finishes off Oberon. Wheelhaul is gone. Stalker, the last one to fall. The wipe is there. Runaway. They hold out home.
QOQ dead on the ground. Suddenly Yagi comes alive. He's found MCD as well. Had been slow. Mag will finish him off. That resurrection paying off big time.
Speed Freaks game. Speed Freaks have 500 meg internet for just $39.99 a month plus taxes and fees. Let us guide the speed freak in you.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Florida Mayhem Collegiate Rumble. We're getting over to the semi-finals, and Thibbledork is still here. You'd have to get some industrial earth move equipment to move that beard. So we've kept him in place, and I have come in as the new other guy. Like, Thibble's the main part of the show here, apart from, of course, all of the lovely students who are showcasing their Overwatch ability for the Collegiate Rumble. And I'm like Day. Florida State, they've had a little bit of a break after a slobber knocker of a quarterfinal, I think it's fair to say, in that 2-1 victory they got, and they're going to be going up against Full Sail University in our semifinals. It's going to be a best of 3, and we're going to be starting off quite soon on Busan.
Yeah, I mean, if you missed that last match that they just got out of, go catch the VOD when this is all over, because it was pretty damn close the whole way through. Some insane shatters, great ultimate usage, great mechanical plays. One guy kept going to the back line and just getting 2K Deadeyes, which you figure you only get like one of those generally, and he got 2 or 3, and then everybody just started trying it. Like, both McCrees were just like, that's just a thing I can do, I guess. It was ridiculous. So now we're getting into this match. We'll see, you know, maybe they had some scouts watching each other play these games, or maybe they did some quick research to kind of see what was going on. But regardless, I think this will be a really entertaining one. We're getting into some very even matches here in the semis, so expect some good stuff.
Potential, of course, for that collegiate Overwatch espionage, a plague upon collegiate competitions everywhere. All this espionage and watching each other play, like, oh, what are the strategies going to be? And like you said, during the last match that Florida State had against Florida Southern, I think it was pockmarked mostly by these brave plays. Some I'd call them gambits usually in casting. The full gambles, like you are potentially throwing your life away for this for maybe limited gain, but in this case, large gains were had. I've seen some very aggressive Reinhardt play, which I always like to see. Just the Reinhardt swinging for the fences, going for the big slams, making those real highlight clip moments. Of course, that's pretty good when you're trying to get your name out there as well. Like, oh man, Axis 8 had this huge slam, dude. Just those clippable moments to really try and elevate the profile of these players in the collegiate scene.
I was going to say, like, having this like aggressive rush play style makes you like, those are the moments you remember in Overwatch. So these compositions these teams have been running are really conducive to that exact mission, I guess, you know, like making sure people remember you. Axis is absolutely the name I remember from Florida State right now, alongside Wi-Fi, who was the guy doing the crazy backline high noons, strictly because like he just decided to he pulled a super, I guess, is the easiest way to equate it for people who have maybe only been watching the Overwatch League. He just had that sort of play style where you walk past all the shields and you don't worry about your own shield and you just swing. And sometimes that worked, sometimes it didn't. Obviously, it worked well enough to get them here, but the competition will get a little stiffer as we go on. So we'll have to see if Full Sail Armada can kind of match that aggression.
Heading over now on to Busan. Our first map will, of course, be the Sanctuary, given a lovely vista there by our production. I do love the color palette on this map. It's so beautiful. And, of course, all 3 of the stages of this control map are so distinct. It is going to be Full Sail University in the blue. and Florida State in the red as they roll out with a May and a McCree on the side of Florida State. And I think this is going to be one of the more hardy compositions. Higu's going to be trying to get a lot of value out of the Dynamite.
Ooh, and that's a big one. Door on the May is something we saw in the last game a lot too. He got a ton of value out of his wall, so we'll have to see if he can do that against Higu and Splona. This is a DPS comp they ran last game as well.
Beautiful headshot right there from Higu, taking down Mellow Panda, looking for the McCree as well. It's not going like the cinematic did. Ash wins out this time, but with the help of a more advanced team than the Deadlock Gang. It is going to be Full Sail University coming out on top and getting the first control. And this is so important on every control map to be able to get that first fight, because then you got defensive positioning.
Right. I remember the stat being something like if you win the first fight about 60% of the time, you're going to win that round. Full Sail prioritized front-loaded damage. This is something we saw in their last game as well. The Ashe, the Hanzo, and the Sigma are all really good at just pressure.
Consider that front absolutely loaded. If a Gorilla Clutch goes down, 50% of max HP taken away as the Hulk comes in and drags everyone together. That was a beautiful Hulk right there. It's going to be combined with a Dragon Strike. Everyone is sucked in. Everyone is eaten on up. Blown away again. Full Sail University combining their resources perfectly. Not investing too much right there. And crucially, they also kept the amplification matrix to try and catch out Florida State on their next attack.
You can tell this is a very practiced composition from Full Sail. They understand all the combos, all the timings, all of the calls that need to be made to make this composition effective. And their ultimate management is also very good. Door swapping on the Torb, though, could change things up.
Hulk doesn't get anyone, the Torb manages to get away. The speed boost given by the Overload. Don't want to peek out, of course, into that amplification matrix, so they wait until it's gone. That's very smart, but are they going to be able to wait out the supercharger as well? Bolted forward's going to give them no choice but to maybe try and engage here. Axis can make something work with the Gorilla Flux. He's going to channel it, looking for multiple people, and that's a lot of people in the air. Will be able to save themselves, potentially, with a run back. No, Beaver gets his own cancelled. Taken down by Wi-Fi. Excellent threat mitigation there from McCree. You know what? He's going to grab another one as well. Can't hide him a Higgle anymore, and you can't hide from a Dragon Strike once again. It's for Holt and the Dragons eating everybody up. Door finds himself up against the wall, taken down by the little Lindholm we call Brigitte. And that's going to be likely Florida State being knocked out of this round.
Domestic disputes like that. Another great Dragon Strike from Splona to close out that round. He built it so fast. I don't think they were really expecting that to just fly through their faces like it did. Wi-Fi had a great rotation at the beginning of that fight to secure some first picks and get them moving, but it wasn't enough to get onto point before Full Sail had built their ultimates again and just won by pressing Q. So now we're going to have to see if these comps, it looks like they're swapping up. I like the May swap from Door. I think it's much more effective here than it would have been on Sanctuary. Splona matching though, so it's going to come down to the McCree versus the Ashe in the DPS matchup, and then some notable support differences. Looks like Florida State are prioritizing more of a rush, a discount GOAT support line, if you will, whereas Leaf again focusing more on the flex support plays, the Ana and the Baptiste.
Yeah, looking for an early Barter Grenade could be a huge win condition here for the side of Full Sail. Higu looking for that early dynamite as well. It's actually going to miss it. That's going to have to detonate manually, and I think everyone's gotten away, but Door's already gone down. Catching a headshot on Icicle from the counter May. Some May on May violence, you hate to see it, plaguing the streets of Busan day after day. It's a big dynamite coming through from the back. The tanks are going to burn up, and the fortifier has been forced. Now that Orisa's going to become a primary target, but pinning in right now has made Axis 8 public enemy #1. The peel is there though. Already the coalescence is out. The beam has been given. Axis 8 walled in, but it doesn't look like there's any personnel here from a side of Full Sail to really take advantage of this. I hurt myself enough, Shadow, but I don't think it really got anyone. Anarchy trying to make the plays to bring this one back. I think it may have been just a doomed ultimate, and he's going to wish he had that one back, Dibble.
Oh, absolutely. In general, I think I'm really digging the support line coming out from Florida State right now. In general, it enables the tank line to be a little braver than they might normally be, and the ultimates build so...
Well, those ultimates definitely have built up. Axis 8 once again looking for some more damage to be done. The Nano Sigma not really achieving that much, but Higum in the back is getting done what the Sigma could not. In comes the Bob, the new tank on the field, big Omnic Butler and the Blizzard as well to add another B into the mix. Axis 8 given the sound barrier, but the shielding will not be enough to save him from the attentions of Full Sail University. Now the fight's going to transition over onto the point. It's going to be Mellow Panda coming in, trying to rebuild the resources that have been spent so far. The Deadeye could be on the card here for Wi-Fi. He's got a May Insight. He's got a little bit of a boost, but he's got a rock to the bottom as well. The Pebble coming in and cancelling the ultimate. You hate to see it if you're a fan of Full Sail. Anarchy still trying to brawl out here. Gets pinned, and we are going to see Florida State remaining in control for now. They've done a fantastic job of just staying on this point.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really expensive and generally not great fight for Full Sail if you take that analysis. They started off investing a lot of ultimates, 3 ultimates at the start of that fight. They didn't get anything. They didn't even manage to really get onto the point as 6 before being tilted down again. Now they have to reinvest ultimates to try and that they do get a pick.
Sound barrier. Big engagement coming through. Now we're trying to get some damage done with Higu, and he's going to get it done himself. G-Man takes one to the head, and now the Bob is ready to go. Can contest a point, but I doubt it's going to be necessary, Fibble, because all the corpses have been laying out on the floor. The grave has been dug, and they've been buried 6 feet under, with 96% on the point. Full Sail finally get their cap.
A much better fight for Full Sail, both in terms of end result and the ultimates they had to invest. Now they have 3, almost 4, depending on the speed at which Leaf or Splona can build theirs. That said, though, I think Florida State really only kind of walked away from that one without investing too much because they know they only need one more fight to skew.
A big old anti and a big old flux as well. That's about as fast and clean as it gets, folks. Any fans of Full Sail going to be calling that one dominance? Florida State will at least take refuge in the fact that it didn't take very long to lose that fight, only 31% for Full Sail.
Didn't use very much, so that was almost a wash. It just gives you extra time for Full Sail. Not too many ultimates or abilities spent one way or another, just a quick wham bam, thank you ma'am. This is a wipe.
We'll be thanking man for the Blizzard that's been sent in right now. Not sure where that's going to be. Dawn manages to catch multiple people frozen. And Anode Reinhardt in the back from Anarchy doesn't have anything available but a 180. Dawn never saw it coming when he turns around and turns him into Frosty Jam. Mellow moving to a point now. Priority on the objective here for Florida State, and Axis is now going to come down and start to consolidate the control that has been given. Maybe trying to control the high ground, doesn't want Higu to have a location from which to snipe. You got to pay attention to the point, boys. In comes the Blizzard from Spluna, but before he dies, he is going to freeze up Wi-Fi. Are they going to manage to take out that last few bits of health? The Wi-Fi is down, ladies and gentlemen. Axis 8 is looking for Anarchy as well. And now with the Wrecking Ball on the point, it's dire straits for Full Sail, and there's an Orisa shield that really stops any massive ingress from the collegiate team. Axis 8 holding down the other side as the Desperation Doomfist has entered the fray. Looking for the frags, but it does look like they're going to be coming up kind of empty. Bob enters the point and Door's gone down as well. Wi-Fi's found Higu, and it's time to channel the Deadeye, baby. Who's checked their watches is the question. It looks like it probably is going to have been Bob, who didn't find out the time today. Wi-Fi taken down by Beaver Biscuit up in the top, but all of his teammates are dead. None of his friends are left, and there's no time to play with. That is going to be Florida State University, evening it up on Busan.
Some good stalls coming out in that last fight from Full Sail to really try and you know, maybe let's get 1 or 2 picks and try and bring this back. Splona on the Doomfist, he did get 1 to get some value out of that, but ultimately I don't think there was enough damage coming through from people like Beaver Biscuit or Higu to really turn that around in a meaningful way. Wi-Fi immediately understood Higu is a threat. Higu is going to set up on the high ground and just rain damage down. So I'm going to do him one better. I'll flank behind him. You know, nothing personnel, kid. I'm just going to tap a couple bullets in it. So that was his special.
Behind you.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. Yeah, like, oh man, nothing personnel, dude, but I'm going to take you out. It was something he did all game last game versus Florida Southern, and I expect him to keep doing it now, although it might be a little harder to teleport behind anybody as Widowmaker.
Well, you can always grapple hook behind him. I'm a big fan of Widowmaker on this particular map. A lot of unattainable high ground for those who don't have vertical mobility. This is a very risky flank. He's in quite deep. Is he going to get the headshot? No, he reveals himself for the body shot. Down goes the Immortality Field. Time to get out of dodge Wi-Fi. Let's disconnect and go elsewhere. The Immortality Field goes down. courtesy of G-Man, and Wi-Fi is going to get taken out by the counter sniper of Spooner. And now, question is, who's going to rotate to a point first? That's not the wall door was looking for, I can assure you of that, ladies and gentlemen. Spooner looking to go mad with the arrows, and he's going to start off well. Legolas on display right here. Puts down the Sonic arrow. That's going to give him all the information that he needs to move on forward as well. Looking to take out Actus 8 as well, and they're bloody successful in doing so. Higu taking down Wi-Fi. That's going to be full sail, beginning with some dominance.
I respect the flank from Wi-Fi to start. It's a very Wi-Fi thing to do, but it requires making that first shot. If he had hit the Baptiste, that immortality field doesn't go through. Maybe he gets one or two more, or maybe he just forces Full Sail to back up. But he misses the shot onto Leaf, and there goes that. The swap onto Hanzo will provide a little more consistent damage, and hopefully they can start turning this back around.
That's a large dynamite, and Bob is ready to go. G-Man's already down. You don't even take this fight, in my opinion, if you happen to be Florida State. You just back out, try and save whatever members you can. Try not to stagger too much. Go again next. G-Man's going to swap over now onto the D.Va Sigma, or the Sigva, I suppose you could call it. Not a common combo when it comes to tank lines, I can tell you.
I'm actually very curious about that. He's generally been running. So we'll see. Oh, I see the Rhine. Okay, the Rhine D.Va swap makes a lot of sense. And Door onto the Ashe is not a bad move either. This is a fairly standard composition, I would say, a little more in tune with the meta that we've been seeing in higher levels of play. But these swaps mean that they're way behind.
I love they're going straight in, but Actus 8 is going straight back to spawn. Wi-Fi tried to equalize against Higu, but Leaf just jumps up in the air. And guess what, Door? You're late for the party, bruv. I'm afraid you may have a nice angle, but you're a little bit too far gone. Axis is back to spawn. He's going to be respawning soon, but with 82% of a point, they feel like they just have to go in with a coalescence. Oh, my boys, you've had a couple of seconds left, and now you're disengaging with only 12 to go. They're going to have to go straight onto a point here with Cowabrew and his speed boost. You want to close the distance as fast as possible, but now you're moving into a supercharger. Door's going to have the high ground, along with his other sniper, but if they move in from a... Oh, no! Oh, that is a tragedy.
I didn't want to say it, but I saw it coming. I did not know how they were going to put... That's... Ooh, buddy. That's a rough one. You hate to see
that. Hurts your very soul. Here's Spooner with the play of the game. A lovely Halt and Dragon combo. A lot of credit there to Anarchy, hitting those twice in a row. Seems to always open the fight with a Halt, and then always kept it after that to wait for the mid-fight Dragon and Halt, where there was less resource available to really deal with that devastating combo. Really good defensive play right there.
I will say as well, Beaver did have his gravitic flux, so that could have been a factor, but that was only on one side of those stairs. How, you know, there are two sets of stairs on either side to get onto the point from the high ground. In general, though, it looked really sketchy. Like you were saying, like they were trying to disengage as it was ticking into the 90s, which did not give you a lot of time. Your Lucio was running back from spawn with sound barrier. Can you really push? You want to try and push together as a team, but can you actually touch? And obviously they didn't. So that's a rough one. You hate to see it, but if you're Florida State here, you go again. You really just have to take a second, breathe it out, say, man, that was rough, but we can bring it back on this next one, which is going to be Junkertown.
Yeah, when you're trying to bring it back, why not try and play to your strengths? We've seen Wi-Fi has been a dangerous hit scan individual, and I can't think of a better place to bring out a good Widowmaker than Junkertown. Really, this map has been punctuated throughout its history in competitive Overwatch by performances by people like Pine, like Linksa, like Carpe. People who take over a game as Widowmaker and find themselves somewhat unstoppable if they're not checked well, and that's what I think Wi-Fi is going to try to achieve in this forthcoming map.
Be careful, though, because Higu, has been prodigious on just about any hit scan you want to put him on. He swapped to Widow for like one fight on Dorado in his last match, got a quick 3 kills, and just went right back to spawn. So it's clear that if you give him the space, Higu will do a lot of work. But Wi-Fi, to his credit, has understood that and has been putting on a lot of pressure. There have been a lot of great DPS 1v1s, and they're fairly evenly matched. So we could see a really interesting Widow duel coming up. We could be seeing more McCree versus Ashe, Ashe versus Ashe, you name it. So I'm excited to watch them. But in general, I think this will also come down to tank positioning, because you have to be able to give your DPS some space, and you have to be able to take the space they make for you to compound that into some fight wins.
I do think, on your note of tank positioning, we've seen a lot more punishment of Access 8 than he had in the quarterfinal against Florida Southern, I believe it was. Anarchy's been doing a much better job, in my opinion, of staying safer and allowing his DPS to really do the heavy lifting. I didn't notice that there was a huge orb in which all of the Junkertown gladiatorial contests happened. Quite an interesting little bit of a map tidbit right there.
It's crazy the stuff you don't notice. I saw a post on Reddit today that was like, oh, there's a separate spawn exit on Volskaya after you cap first. I had never seen that in my life, and I've been playing this game since closed beta. So, yeah, Overwatch is so just rich in detail in that way. Much like this matchup has been rich in detail.
Oh, what a segue.
Oh, yeah.
This is why Florida Mayhem pay him the big bucks, ladies and gentlemen. Florida State remaining in the red right now, and this is Wi-Fi on the Widow. This is what I wanted to see. Looking for Higu already. Will he be able to follow up the halt? Not with that shield in the way, I'm afraid. But double shield is going to make things quite problematic. We're going to have to see a significant crossfire between Wi-Fi and Unholy Banjo. Was Unholy Banjo a new sub? I feel like he's replaced Door.
Yes, he did. Yeah, they've been swapping between the two of them pretty often. Door is their go-to Mei player. His Mei is honestly very good. He has a great understanding of wall placement and ult placement. But Unholy Banjo, I imagine, is more of their go-to bread and butter, click the head.
Well, that's what we want from Wi-Fi. Higu is down. That's a lot of damage gone, but it's going to be doubled up now because everyone's going to be behind the amplification matrix. Cheeky peeky here from Unholy Banjo, looking once again for the headshot, but can't quite connect, and against the AoE killing of Baptiste, it could be dangerous to give over that much ultimate charge. For now, they're going to be faced up with the tank. Both of the snipers here coming in from the same angle, but it doesn't matter when Wi-Fi is going to find Sploner that early. Higu is caught out as they try to come in through here. Wi-Fi is going to... I think this may be a septic tank that he's hiding behind because he's deep in something brown, but with a little bit of healing given, he will be able to keep himself alive. There's going to be the usage of the amplification matrix, and Wi-Fi's gone down, given some attention from the Beaver Biscuit. Higu remains on the high ground, and that's going to be everybody. Not actually die. Oh, Beaver Biscuit was interrupted as he tried to channel the Gravitic Flux. Great play there to save the team, taking down that Sigma. Potentially there could have been a little bit more peel there, but it may have been a ill-informed ultimate from the start, Fiddle.
Yeah, that one was a little greedy, I think. A lot of his teammates were down already. Florida State were damn near done pushing the cart to that first checkpoint, and he went for the flux. He would have gotten 3 or 4 with it, but I don't think he ever would have finished the channel on it. They were all just more than able to turn around and nuke him down. So he probably wants that one back, but they do have almost 5 ultimates coming back online. So this will be an interesting fight still, regardless.
Bob has missed the cart and he's already dead. Higu's lost his friend forever, but with Cowabrew going down, this may be time to just back off. Look for maybe an exit frag with one of your snipers and try again. You can see that Wi-Fi, I believe, is still basically a hostage in the back. There we are. They're on the cart. They're trying to get destroyed right now. Could have kept him prisoner for a while longer. Come on, Full Sail.
You can't always get the perfect stagger, as much as you might like, and Wi-Fi has certainly proven that he's worth killing immediately. So, you know, we still take those if you're Full Sail. A great fight. I mean, it was a bit of a shaky start ultimately, but it was super quick to turn around and get back.
Very dangerous position right here. That's our big amplification matrix. Huge amounts of damage going to come through, but so too from the Dragon. A perfect usage of the Immortality Field from Mr. Leaf himself, but Higu can't survive the headshot of the Wi-Fi. Getting in close and personal now. The Hulk is going to facilitate the SMG kill. It isn't proud, it isn't pretty, but it is effective.
Turning it up to that 5 gigahertz band, man. I feel like it's been so long since we've had to talk about double sniper compositions. But if you consider Ashe a sniper, we're looking at somewhat mirrored double snipers. So the way these teams have to play is shifting so dramatically. But the rally here, countering into the flux, should make...
It's a large flux, and that's a big supercharger too, but it's already Full Sail who are coming out with a frag. Zanaki's taking out his counterpart in G-Man, and Spooner's just looking for the arrows, and oh boy is he finding them. At the end of Junkertown Point B, this is a terrible place to be healthable. Such a commute to get back to this payload, you might as well be booking a train for it.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time to really set up another fight, especially when your snipers have to find angles, and Higu and Splona are really on top of this. Beaver Biscuit, too, he's quietly been having a fantastic round, except for that one flux that he might have wanted back. But just in general, he understands the angles these snipers are pushing from, and he applies pressure like no other. Sigmas are really good at that in general, and he is putting on it.
Bringing out the Gravitic Flux, people halted in. There's going to be a lot of damage done, and the Immortality Field seems to not be available thanks to Leaf's attentions. Wi-Fi's got a great angle here, though. Could be very dangerous. Spooner's going to go for it. Sends him a Sonic Hour instead, and with losses sustained already, looks like this is going to be a quick turn back for Florida State.
But a quick turnaround for Florida State is still 40 or 50 seconds off the clock. We're under 2 minutes, which means if they're lucky, they'll get 2 more fights. At this point, they really need to look, I would say, at maybe swapping off the snipers. As much as I would love to see Wi-Fi turn around and get 3 on this and prove me wrong, I don't know if they're getting the angles with all the shields and all the natural cover to be effective at this point in the map.
Defensive positioning here can be very difficult. In comes for Dragon Strike, and oh, that's a huge amount of damage ticking through. Coward Brew just instantly evaporates like he was put in the microwave. Unholy Banjo's gonna have to lose himself. Higu doesn't win the duel against Wi-Fi, but I'm afraid it's only a consolation prize for the Widowmaker because the rest of his team is gone, and they are long gone.
Yeah, I mean, it almost looked for a second like they were going to stagger Wi-Fi. I think he just ended up properly getting away. But even then, like, do you even care? What has Wi-Fi been able to do in these last couple fights? The Infrasight might help. Actually, no, he uses it and then swaps to the Ash. I think I like that a lot more. I think Dynamite could get some value.
Unholy Banjo, is he AFK?
Oh.
It looked a bit like he was AFK, or possibly disconnecting. Maybe he's lost Wi-Fi, who knows? Beaver Biscuit now, he feels emboldened by the loss of the enemy Hanzo. That's not too much damage you have to worry about. Why not go forward, try and get some of those shields? You'd love to see it. And now Higu. He can place Bob on the cart here, which will be super important if his tanks want to do something spicy.
Biscuit has definitely been doing that. He's maintaining his vigil on that one angle that the snipers like to come into in that room, the one you just saw him looking at. He knows that's exactly where they want to come from to try and provide like a behind the back flank, you know, a Wi-Fi flank as I've kind of started calling them. So he's doing a lot.
Might have been a cancel there onto Axis 8, I'm not entirely sure. Looking to get this Gravitic Flux, is up against the Transcendence, got to wait until that's done. Nope, he's actually just going to go straight in with it. The Supercharger going to go down and everyone else is going to hit the ground. No knees broken this time, but Higu's going to break Wi-Fi over his knee, boys. Anarchy goes for Coward Brew as well. It's everyone taking out their counterparts. And that's going to be stopped short of that second cap when it looked so good for the side of Florida State when they ran into that the first time. It was kind of a miracle that Full Sail even held that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the map geography there just really started favoring Full Sail on the defense. They were just so able to maintain a complete choke on anywhere you wanted to enter from, any flank, any angle, anything. And when you're running a comp that focuses on snipers getting angles, if you're running into a comp that controls all the angles, you're not going to get a lot of value. So ultimately, that was a bit of a rough one, just in terms of the strength of the defense. But this is still perfectly winnable. It's just a matter of pulling off a fuller hold, as Achilleos often likes to call them.
Here, Queen, you dropped this. It's a victory. I would have liked to have seen potentially from the attackers a more roundabout commute to the attack. Going through that low ground multiple times possibly could have gone around the far right-hand side, got up onto the high ground, had an advantageous position for Wi-Fi or Unholy to rain down some fire. It is going to be Full Sail, messing around in the spawn room. You know, they're feeling good about themselves. They've already got themselves a map in hand. And they're looking at a very achievable win condition of getting 79.1 meters on the second point of Junkertown. But I'll tell you what, if there's a map where I've seen a bunch of first holds, it's probably Junkertown.
It's very true. I would have liked to have seen this from Florida State on their attack. It almost looks like a high poke damage, rush sort of composition. It's missing the Lucio, of course, but otherwise it's very similar. I would have loved to have seen that on their attack to try and get past the shields. Right now it looks like they're on the back foot against these snipers again.
JSL is having a great time right now, though. It takes down Yaki. It's going to be Beaver Biscuit right now on your screens. Spamming away with the hyperspheres. It's time to take stock of where we can spam. Right now, are there any shields in his way? You can get a huge amount of AoE damage here. Look at that, he's just spammed into the back. Sends in the rock as well. Doesn't quite connect with a stun. He's going to be checked by Axis 8. With the usage here of the amplification matrix, it's going to be very hard to peek if you are on full sail, but everyone being halted in, that's a huge amount of damage that can be done. Higu's going to be looking for that big old dynamite. Can they take out the immortality field in time? No, they cannot. It's going to be a little bit late as Wi-Fi roves on into the back, but he gets taken down by Brigitte. Not a hugely effective mine, I'm afraid, Chump. Unholy Banjo heading back to spawn, and there will be time here to contest for Florida State before it rolls into the finish.
I respect the confidence from Wi-Fi to walk forward past the amplification matrix, but I just don't think his team was in a position where they could support him long enough to get any value off of that. He's swapping now to the Widowmaker. Let's see if he can get some value on it on the defense, but at the same time, he could run into the same problems that they had on their attack with all these shields. The shield from Brigitte, Orisa, and Sigma are all going to make his life very difficult.
Huge hole. The immortality field is going to help everyone to survive that one as Wi-Fi begins to burn to death. Just going to dive into the Transcendence, brother. Need for healing, but Bob has come in. He's putting himself down on the cart, and there's a Supercharger too. It's going to be so difficult here for Full Sail to try and compete against all of these kills, but they're going to do it by brute force. I think that was 5 ultimates used. A little bit ruinous to the economy, but hey, you trade it for 1 point in the bank. With 4:20 on the clock, you're blazing through.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're in a fantastic position right now. It's easy enough to win a fight. You probably need 2 to bring it to the yellow box of victory. But ultimately, I think both in terms of ultimate spent and the positioning mistakes from Florida State, that was a pretty easy fight. Wi-Fi got away, but he dropped directly onto the tank. So once the Transcendence was over, down.
Well, Wi-Fi got away again. He's on an all-expenses-paid trip to spawn, courtesy of Higu. His counter Ash. Everyone from beside Florida State is going to be backing off right now, and this is a commanding position for Full Sail. They've got the high ground. The good news is, at least... Oh, no, there is no good news. I'm sorry if I lied to you. I got your hopes up. Now they're going to try and bring something back with this Riptire. Could get multiple kills if they can find the people. Down goes the immortality field. It's taken out, and so is Yakisoba. Anarchy is going to be the next victim, and Wi-Fi has activated the Tracer Time Demon, and guess what? We're looking to recall all of those kills. And eventually, stability will be purchased, and it's once again in this very dangerous area to get held. We could see a repeat of what was achieved by Full Sail on their own defense.
Yeah, time is a flat circle here. Frankly, I'm not sure how Unholy Banjo didn't get more than 1 kill off that tire, but a fight win is a fight win. Wi-Fi has kind of been swapping every fight. It's clear that he's kind of frustrated and trying to figure out what will be the answer. Tracer so far looking okay. He's at least a little more survivable and can take those flanks that he likes. But they'll have to do a little more than that to hold for the next 240.
Not hugely effective, Bob, and Wi-Fi catches some pebbles. I'm afraid you ain't got the stones to take on the Sigma. Unholy Banjo now is going to have to get away from the amplification matrix. Could consider going towards the back, but no! Mellow Panda beats out Higu in the long-range sniping duel. Do not mess with this Zenyatta. He is done with tranquility. He has no chill left, and he's sending you straight back to that spawn. Axis 8, though, on the other side, has been traded out. Potentially Full Sail here can keep up the tempo.
Spawns are pretty even. Good on Mellow Panda to really keep them in that fight. I think if they didn't get that pick, easy enough for Full Sail to move in at that point and try and close out this map. They still have 2 minutes, but there are some ultimates coming online for Florida State. So this could be a chance to actually secure a pretty decent hold. They just have to hope this Dragon Strike doesn't get out again.
It's once again the Dragon Strike and the hold, but guess what? They use both the Immortality Field and the Trance about it. They've sent in the Gravitic Flux as well, and Wi-Fi is down. Supercharger's going to try and secure it here for Full Sail, but guess what? No one looks for the tire! With everyone using hover cars, no one takes notice of the method of locomotion from times long past. But guess what? Unholy Banjo's got his history book out and he's ready to educate fools when he's on the defense.
That is a tire I respect, because he ran straight through everybody. He said, excuse me, pardon me, I have to go blow people up. And that is exactly what he did. An expensive fight, though, for Florida State. They used that and the Pulse Bomb, which got nothing, and the Transcendence, just to make sure nobody got caught in that Dragon Strike, which that one was worth it. But now they're only going to have the Supercharger and hopefully this Amp Matrix against a Flux, potentially a Rally, and potentially a Bob and an Amp Matrix of their own in a longer fight.
Watch for Immortality Field. It's going to be needed against Fisk-Gravitic Flux. There it is. So many people placed up into the air, and no one's going to be saved from it. G-Man took down the Immortality Field. That's exactly what you see if you are a fan of Full Sail. Higu's got everything that he wants, but steps into a couple of mines. Okay. Still a couple members of Florida State staying alive here, but Beaver's trying to see to that as quickly as possible. G-Man's going to try and stay around, but Splona's going to take him on down. Wi-Fi has returned to the fray, gets halted in, and Lucio can't really do much. He's instantly eviscerated. There's been a noise complaint. The sound has been turned off. The Rozzers have arrived, and that's going to be a shield bash, a halt, and a full finish for Full Sail.
I have not heard the word Rozzer since I was watching the original Top Gear. We take those, though. Honestly, just a clinic from Full Sail. I think everybody on that team was really showing up. The support line was on top of things. The DPS were hitting their shots, and the tank line was providing so much pressure to create so much space and completely deny any sort of momentum from Florida State. So overall, just a really great showing there on Junkertown. Maintained their composure, had a couple close calls on a couple of those fights with some adaptations from Florida State. It just ultimately was not enough to bring that back.
Yakis over there with the play of the game. The ever studious and astute defender that is for Brigitte. Definitely adding a lot to those compositions from Full Sail, who will be moving forward to our grand finals. I'm not sure who the other side of the bracket is going to be. That's going to have been on the Florida Mayhem YouTube channel stream. You'll be able to find out, because I do believe that this stream is going to be ending in Fibble, and the Florida Mayhem stream will be taking over for the grand finals.
That's correct. They will have the, I believe the other semifinal is going on there currently. Yes, UCF actually just took a map, or maybe the second map. I'm not sure. It's going on over there. And then, yes, they will also be hosting the finals, which is going to be a good one, no matter who wins. In general, it's been great having everybody show up here to the Elo Hell stream to watch these games. It was important to us at the Mayhem. For those of you who don't know, I actually work for the team. It was important for us to show every game that we could and get every team that we could on the screen, because it's really important to us that we provide visibility and opportunities for these players who are out here working hard, getting their degrees, and trying to become esports pros, or at the very least, slightly better at the game than they used to be, which really is what we're all doing at the end of the day. So thanks very much for showing up over here. If you guys head over to the Florida Mayhem stream, we are doing some OWL token giveaways, just in general, like some fun like trivia and stuff like that. And then as you said, we will be getting into the finals match here pretty soon. So thanks very much for everybody coming through. Remember always to support Tier 2, and stay safe.